From New York City, this is Entertainment Weekly, the show. This week I page through the Book of Henry with Jacob Tremblay and Jaeden Lieberher, catch up on Fargo with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and travel through time with Mayim Bialik. Plus, the latest Entertainment Weekly cover is RuPaul's Drag Race, and we're going to hear from that show's fabulous hosts. Get your wigs out, cover girls, because the show starts now. Welcome to the show. This week's cover is all about the hit competition show RuPaul's Drag Race, and EW was on the scene with the man himself at this drag-rific cover shoot. Take a look.
Growing up in the 60s and 70s, I knew love is the answer. That was the mantra. Love yourself. Then you have something to give to other people, just like on the airplane when they say, put the max on your face before you put the max on your child's face. Being on the LGBT cover of EW is really a real milestone in my career, because it means that so many people get to hear the message. And, you know, aside from the pretty clothes and all the colors and laughter, the message really is to be yourself, love yourself, enjoy the time you have on this planet. That's been my creed the whole time. This year in the LGBT community, I hope to see young people get more involved politically and become more active and more aware. I want to see young LGBT people, not just young, all LGBT people, get involved politically, because these freedoms that we've witnessed in the past 20 years could slip away in a heartbeat. Drag is the antithesis of what our culture is about. Our culture is about choosing an identity and sticking with it. You gotta stick with that identity because we have to market beer and shampoo to you. Drag is the opposite of it. Drag is really saying, I do whatever I want. I'm a shapeshifter. I'll do however I feel. You're never gonna see drag go completely mainstream. You're never gonna see people walking around on the street in sailor outfits because they felt that way that day, or in some wild gender F-word drag style. On our show, what people really relate to is the tenacity of the human spirit. These are kids on our show who are a lot of times disenfranchised from society, from their own families, and they found a way to shine. They found a way to make their dreams come true. And that's what the bigger picture is. That's what the bigger message is. So more visibility really shines a light on being yourself.
Thanks to the wonderful RuPaul. Talking to you is never a drag. We'll be right back with more show. Welcome back. As you now know, this week's EW cover features the beloved, the iconic, the fabulous RuPaul. And there's no denying Ru's importance as a leading figure for the LGBTQ community for more than 30 years. 30 years. Now, here to discuss this groundbreaking figure and his special place in pop culture is style expert and entrepreneur Robert Verdi. And Drag Race contestants Alexis Michelle and Peppermint. Welcome, gang. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hey. Thanks for having us.
It's going to be a good conversation. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
We've got to talk about Ru. I mean, 30 years in this business. Robert, talk to me about his longevity and his significance to the community.
So I think that RuPaul really is a crossroads. He's the real intersection for the LGBTQ community.
It's true.
And he kind of galvanizes everything about politics and being gay. He touches trans, he touches being a woman, he touches beauty, he touches everything in our pop culture history. What's interesting is that he had this big moment, and then there was a big pause for him in his career. And then there's this revival, which has made him stronger and more powerful than ever. But that's because I think a lot of the issues that he touches are the political hot button topics that we're really talking about.
It's true. That's a very good point. Ru actually said in a previous interview that he feels like the show is more important now than ever, given that Trump is in power. And he feels like this show is a representation of the present and the future. And many of Trump's followers and President Trump himself is a representation of the past. What do you all make of that?
When they released our promo for season 9, the final pitch from Ru was drastic times call for dragtastic measures. And I think it's so true that there is a very large population of the world that is resistant to that particular political energy.
Yep.
And I think that that we are a voice for a lot of those people, and we are a perfect picture of what the opposite of that looks like. And so, yeah, I think it has affected the show's popularity in this moment.
I don't think that's necessarily anything new, because as long as I can remember, I think drag has always been one of those devices that can cut through, prejudice, gender, stereotypes. It's something, I feel like drag is something that everyone can identify with in some strong way, whether they like it or not. And that's even before Drag Race. But now it's definitely a great vehicle to usher in more progressive ideals.
Drag queens are sort of the perfect vehicle because it's like, it's a clown, but with a message behind it, and so it's approachable, it's friendly, or sometimes not so friendly, but it's approachable, and there's something behind it.
Why the show is so brilliant is because it captures, and we were talking before coming on set with you, I said, what's really amazing is that there are these incredible human beings who are discovered on the show, who we can have a relationship with, and we can learn from, and we can celebrate comfortably and happily. But I think that we forget the walk that every individual has to walk in their own life when the cameras are not rolling.
Yes.
And that goes for everybody. Television, as a rule, has always been able to kind of reflect a culture back to itself and help it process and move through issues. And this show does that brilliantly.
What made you want to be a part of Ru's world, and what is it like to work with him?
It's great to be on the show.
Yes.
It's great to be a finalist on the show.
Ooh, drop that finalist bomb on us.
Yes, honey. Top 4 and top 5. It's great. I've been doing drag for more than 20 years, and I've been very blessed to work and travel and continue to pay my rent in New York City for 20 years.
Amen to that.
I just wholeheartedly believe that performance is equally as important as outreach and charity, and that all goes together. And so having a much larger platform is great, and I hope I'm able to use that.
I'm sure that you can relate, Peppermint, that when we were coming up, that Ru was and still is the household name in drag.
No doubt.
And so, in a way, you mentioned how he had a pause and then came back around.
Yeah.
Ru kind of paved the way for himself. He really laid the foundation and then has been, consistently plugging away. And now, in this moment when we need him more than ever, is at the top of the game. And so it was really meaningful to me, as a child, I was aware of who RuPaul was. So it was really meaningful to me that there was this club, this sisterhood, this family, and I so badly wanted to be a part of it.
You auditioned to be on this show 8 times before landing on it.
Yeah.
Why did you persist?
Like I said, I just always felt in my heart that I belonged somehow to touch at a distance, somehow associated with RuPaul. RuPaul always was very meaningful to me in that way.
Talk to us about the evolution of how LGBTQ characters are portrayed on television. I know Robert and I have had conversations about, there was a moment, particularly in the late 80s and 90s, where everybody had to be a sassy black woman and had to be finger snapping for it to be authentic. And we talked about how for him, he also saw that there were sort of some stereotypical
There's
behavior
stereotypes,
happening
which we were talking
on
about, like
television.
you were mentioning Eric Stone Street from Modern Family.
For me, it's a show that I love. I watch it quite religiously, and I find it humorous and heartwarming. However, I did have some initial resistance to the way that couple is presented on the show. It feels, for me, sometimes, at least, especially earlier in the show's life, a little bit broad.
Right. And I think what that is like anybody who is the object of a certain nuanced a prejudice that a group who's marginalized has there's nuances about what people perceive, who are the object of that prejudice. What they perceive to be prejudice is completely different. So, what a person who's trans, what a female feels, what a woman of color feels, what a man of color feels, these are all different experiences, right, in the world.
It's true.
And so I think that that's kind of what Alexis is saying, that as people who are inside the LGBTQ community, we are more in tune with certain nuances that we're like, that's kind of generic. Like what you're saying about the sassy black girl, it's like the gay guy doesn't have to be like, girl, I can't believe this is happening.
Right.
You don't have to be that, right? So, but and strangely, you do. 'Cause
Right.
that's what people want. It's very, very complicated.
They're not interested in authenticity. I think Hollywood is not interested in authenticity, and I think even though humans are interested in authenticity on a one-on-one level, I think when it comes to programming, people aren't interested in authenticity because it's like you said, they want the most easily palatable, one-dimensional version of anything you're going to give them.
Yes.
They can digest right away.
I think places like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon are getting it better than the networks because they are afforded more opportunity to be more creative,
Yes.
to take more risks,
Yes.
to have more nuanced representation
Yes.
of characters across the board. Really quickly before we go, because they're telling me to wrap, they're trying to kill our party. Can you believe
What y'all
that?
talking about?
Exactly. Favorite Ru song? Let's go down the table.
Free to be.
Okay. Alexis?
I'm a 90s child, supermodel.
Yeah, for
All
me
right.
too. It's supermodel.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Work. There's a sassy black girl moment for you. That was fabulous. Yes, you did that.
It's a sassy gay moment for you.
And here's my queen moment.
I guess I have to be a prostitute.
You are the loveliest prostitute I've ever seen. Just
Stereotype.
Hooker with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back with more. This party's just getting started. All right. You guys are fantastic. The country music drama Nashville airs tonight, and this episode's a very special one. For more on this, we're joined by one of the stars, Kaitlin Doubleday. Welcome, Kaitlin.
Hello, thank you, Lola. I am here because tonight my show Nashville airs its 100th episode, so I would like to make a toast.
Ooh, a toast. Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's to you, Nashville, on 100 episodes. Thanks for featuring badass women like Hayden Panettiere, Claire Bowen, Rachel Bilson, myself, and other cool chicks. And also for having dude characters with fun names like Deacon and Gunner and Hockney. At first I couldn't tell if Hockney was actually a skin condition. And here's also to the high drama. There are car chases and plane crashes and even face crashes. There's so many crashes on this show that they were originally going to call it Crashville. We are here to celebrate a great cast, many of whom do their own singing, some awesome guest stars, and so far the fact that they haven't killed off my character like they did on Empire. Ooh. So cheers, Nashville. Here's to another 100 episodes. May you go on to be one of those shows where people are like, that's still on? Who knows? Maybe you could even be the next Bones. Watch the 100th episode Thursday, June 15th at 9/8 Central on CMT.
Kaitlin, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, now let's take this party a little more PG, shall we? I recently sat down with two incredible young actors, Jacob Tremblay and Jaeden Lieberher from the Book of Henry, and we talked about everything from having Naomi Watts as an on-screen mom to behind-the-scenes dance-offs. Check it out. Your character, Henry, is very precocious, has a lot of energy. He's also very protective of his mother and his younger brother. What about that character drew you to it?
We are similar in some ways that we do want to protect other people, and I was really drawn to his personality because, like I said, it's very different from anyone else.
So Jacob, you play the younger brother. Why did you want to be a part of this project?
Out of all the characters ever played, Peter is the most like me, like you said earlier. But what drew me most to this character is, out of all the movies, there wasn't really lots of kids on set. But this is like one of those movies where I got like a neighbor. Like some of the like scenes take place at school, and then I have like a brother.
What was that like for you off camera? Did you boss him around? Did you tell him to get you donuts and milk, or you were going to give him a wedgie? How did that work?
He bossed me around, actually.
He did?
No, but it was nice having a little brother on set, you know. He's much like his character, and I guess I'm a little similar to my character, so it was an easy relationship to form.
It's a funny movie, but with lots of drama, and so I'd be able to be like really funny, like myself, and then I'd also get to, have the serious part of it in it too.
But let's talk about Naomi Watts. You've both worked with her in the past, and now you're reuniting with her again for this film. What was it like to be back with Miss Watts?
I love Naomi. I'm so glad I got to work with her again. And yeah, I think since we were both able to work with her before, it definitely helps our mother and son relationship.
And she plays your mother in the film. She's also a waitress who's just struggling to take care of you all. And Jacob, what was it like for you to work with Naomi again?
It was really
Do you
nice.
call her Naomi?
Yeah, I call her Naomi.
Really? I love it. What was it like for you to work with Naomi?
It is nice because she's really nice and she is really funny. And like he said, it's good for the relationship of us, so that really helped too.
Maddie Ziegler's also in the film. Now, I've seen her dance in those Sia videos. She's got some moves. Did she teach you guys a little something? Any fancy footwork?
Yes.
Yes?
we did.
Yeah, she did, and she even tried to teach you, but you taught her.
I taught her. I shouldn't.
Really?
No, I
What'd
did
you
not.
teach her?
No, I would challenge her to dance-offs, and she would teach us yoga moves, and I'm not very flexible at all, but she can put her leg like this pretty much.
Up in the
Straight
air?
up.
I even tried. I like pull a
can't.
muscle.
No, yeah.
Let's try it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
That's
That's as far as you can go.
Yeah.
I can't even go that far at all.
she can go straight up to her head.
Sarah Silverman's also in this film. She likes to curse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about it.
Talk about it. Did she teach you any curse words?
Not really, but she would swear a lot, but most of the swear words were like really funny, used in a funny way, but at the same time it's like, oh, that's swear.
Pretty creative curse words.
Did you have a swear jar on set for Sarah Silverman?
I did.
We
I made
should've.
like $20, but I felt bad and I gave all the money back.
Never give the money back. That's the first rule of the business. You got to keep the money, kid. Keep the money. Okay, let's talk Star Wars. Are you ready? The director of this film is also directing Episode 9. So, what have you done to get yourselves into the film? Tell me.
Every day on set, I came up to him and I said, I could be a baby Wookiee, I could be an Ewok, I could be a droid, I could be anything.
What did Colin say?
He said, okay, buddy, I'll try my best. and I was like,
See, you got to take that $20 that you got from Sarah Silverman and give it to the director. That's how you get it. That's how you do it. Jaeden, how'd you lobby for a part in Star Wars Episode 9?
I mean, I do love Star Wars, but not as much as Jacob.
Okay.
I did not talk about it every day. He did. It came up every day because of
every
Jacob.
day.
It did. During school, during filming. Somehow, I feel like the movie, we talked about Star Wars more than the Book of Henry during filming of the Book of Henry.
Welcome back. The hit show Fargo is currently in its 3rd season, and it's better than ever. EW's own Ray Robin caught up with one of the show's stars, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Take a look.
So tell me about the process of being cast in a show like Fargo. Each season's a different setting and a different time.
Well, I think Noah tends to go into the season with a lot of ideas in mind of who he wants for the roles. So I think there's a lot of roles that he works with the great casting director, Rachel Tenner, and they find kind of the right person for the part. But I think he ends up, finding the right person in his mind and sort of offering to them. And he and I have been talking about me being a part of the show since the first season. So we've always sort of known that it would be a good place for me, and I certainly wanted to be a part of it. So when he called and asked if I was available for season 3, I just was like, yes, please put me in.
So this season's a little different from the previous two because you guys are shooting and airing at the same time. You're basically shooting it in real time almost. Does that change the energy on set or even like the creative process of getting feedback from the outside?
It's a little strange. I mean, I'm more used to being able to get everybody together and watch something when it airs, or when you do a movie, you get to have a premiere and everybody celebrates it. So we kind of skipped past the celebration a little bit because we were so busy working that it was like airing and trying to text your parents like, what is it like? Do people like it? You just don't really have time to think about the response as much, which is maybe a good thing. You're not just constantly looking at what people are saying because you don't have time. So.
So your character and Ray for a while there, it kind of looks like we are not sure of the dynamic. When you started the character, did you have a sense of how she actually felt about him?
When I first read episode 1, I really didn't know, and that was kind of my only big question for Noah, was whether or not that love was real, or if she was going to turn out to be this like big manipulator,
Right.
you know. He just said absolutely it's real, and absolutely she loves him, and it's totally genuine. And that became just the most important part of the character for me, just something that you can really ground yourself in, that's like really true and real and sweet, so that it's not all just this hardened femme fatale criminal thing.
I wonder if the relationship between Nikki and Ray is at all influenced by the Holly Hunter, Nicolas Cage dynamic in Raising Arizona.
Yeah, I mean,
both sides of the law kind of thing.
Yeah, a little bit. That's actually the one Coen Brothers movie I watched before we started, because I thought maybe there would be something there to kind of pick up on, especially because in the first episode there was a shot of Nikki after she first gets arrested, and it feels very like an homage to the shot of Nicolas Cage getting arrested in Raising Arizona. And I just love that movie. So
such a great movie.
So I was like, oh, it's a good excuse to rewatch that.
I'm wondering, when you have the scripts, does Noah like point out the references, or is it something you find out about later?
It's usually something that, you know, I think most of us involved are very familiar with the movie, and very familiar with Coen Brothers movies in general, so I think they kind of stand out on the page, even if it's not referenced. But occasionally a line would say, a la The Big Lebowski, or by the way, this is the Big Lebowski moment, or something. But usually it's sort of unspoken, and it's just something that everybody kind of knows, oh, this would be a great opportunity to shoot it like this, or to make it feel like this, and reference this, you know, but it's kind of unspoken. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the actor Ray Wise, who you have an amazing scene with in a recent episode in a bowling alley. It's probably one of the weirder moments in Fargo TV history. I'm curious, what in your mind, what was happening in that scene? What did it mean?
I think I think it's very open to interpretation, but I think it's meant to represent that she's sort of entered into some sort of limbo, or like purgatory or something like that, the place where you come to be judged, and whether, you know, someone, whoever that is, decides whether or not you're going to live or die, and you know, and I think Ray Wise kind of represents, you know, that sort of spirit, or whatever you want to say. This is a very existential thing that's happening.
Nikki also interacts with a cat quite a bit in that scene, which may or may not represent Ray. Tell me about starring in a scene opposite a cat. How did that go?
Well, they were adorable little kittens.
Oh, there
first
was
of all,
multiple.
there were two. There were two, and they were so cute. But one of them was like really sort of didn't want to be there and was really annoyed and kind of just like clawing at me all the time. And then the other one was really sweet. And so it was an interesting challenge to be doing the scene and be trying to focus on Ray, and also trying to like the whole time I'm just trying to keep the cat in the shot and keep it quiet, because it's supposed to be loving me. It's not supposed to be clawing at me and trying to get away.
So the finale's coming up, looking ahead a little bit. What can fans expect from it? I don't know what you can say, but also maybe if you can get a little bit about your character specifically, if we'll see her in the future.
Gosh, in the future, like in the Fargo universe?
Maybe, you tell me.
Hey, you never know. I think, as ever in Fargo, you do not know what to expect in the end. And I would hate to give anything away, because that's what's so lovely and sweet and special about it, is that like you get that experience of going, oh my God. So, I mean, in episode 9, I got to learn how to drive a semi-truck, which was awesome. But other than that, I don't want to, give away where she goes after that.
We're looking forward to it. Well, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ray, that was a great interview.
Thank you. It was all her. It was all her.
It was all you too. Come on, you showed up.
Yeah.
You got her to talk about the stunt kitten.
That's
I love
true.
it.
I got the real information out of her.
You got the real information. She was kind of coy about what happens in the season finale, which airs next week. Can you tell us? Do you have any insight? What can we expect?
I've taken a sneak peek of it. I got to look at it. There's going to be...
Okay, tell me everything.
I know, right? There's not much I can say. They're very tight-lipped about what they want us to reveal, but let's just say there's going to be some bloodshed. The season has actually been notable because not that many people have died so far relative to other seasons. And usually on this show, people who do bad things get what's coming to them. So I will just say that there's a few more punishments that are to be doled out that'll happen in the finale.
We like punishments. Okay. Now, Noah Hawley has said that this could be the last season. Any scoop on that?
Yeah, well, so at Austin TV Festival, the head of FX said that if Noah doesn't have an idea for season 4, season 3 might be the last one. And Noah, during a panel, was like, I don't think I have an idea for season 4.
No pressure, head of FX.
Exactly.
I mean, hello.
And it goes to what we were saying about the seasons kind of becoming a little samey, and I think he recognizes that as well because he's hemmed in by the setting, the types of characters. I mean, even the accents. Every year it's the same, and so I think within that context, he realizes that he doesn't want to repeat himself.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
He wants to go out on top, possibly.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Now let's shift gears. Were you a Blossom fan?
I was. I liked Blossom. I was always a fan of Joey.
Joey.
Whoa.
That was pretty good.
Thanks. I've been practicing for years.
That was
for this moment.
fantastic. The Big Bang Theory star Mayim Bialik swung by recently to reminisce about her time in show business, and her past just blossomed before us. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Mayim Bialik. In my time as an actor, I've gotten to work on a lot of fun projects, and I'm going to tell you a bit about each of them in a segment called As Mayim Goes By.
Stay safe, Blue. Ta-da!
Beaches was filmed in Coney Island to look like Atlantic City, and we filmed the entire Me Under the Boardwalk scene, indeed, under the boardwalk in Coney Island. But Gary Marshall, the director, did not like how it turned out, so he recreated a boardwalk on Avenue B in Brooklyn, and all of the shots that you see of me talking through the slats under the boardwalk are actually just in Brooklyn.
Cut the small talk. Let's get this stupid thing over with. What's first?
I did 8 episodes of the television show Webster as a nerdy character named Frida. I totally loved playing this part, and I based her kind of not so loosely on Dana Carvey's church lady character. What's really funny is that if you compare Frida to Amy Farrah Fowler, they are very, very similar. Guess I'm not that creative, after all.
You do understand you could have been killed.
I know, but I never had so much fun.
I did 3 episodes of MacGyver after Beaches and before Blossom. MacGyver was filmed in Vancouver, and I was actually in the 100th episode of MacGyver, and Richard Dean Anderson took me as his date to the 100th episode party in Vancouver. It wasn't as weird as it sounds.
So much for the buddy system.
I was on Blossom from the age of 14 to 19, and we had some very famous guest stars on Blossom, some of them before they were famous, and some of them while they were already well-known. Stephen Dorff, Tobey Maguire. Also, Johnny Galecki was a guest star on Blossom, and he and I shared what was the second kiss of my life, both of which were on television, on an episode of Blossom. We were both 14. Yep.
Aren't those new glasses?
No, but I cleaned them.
You're so funny.
All of Curb Your Enthusiasm is indeed improvised. There is some sort of outline, but my character was not major enough to get to see it. So I never really knew, I didn't even know that my character was a lesbian, which was kind of a major plot point, but one that I didn't have scenes involving. So yeah, I never really knew what the episode was about until it was aired. So that's kind of awkward.
I'm sorry, are you questioning my integrity as a scientist?
I had never seen an episode of The Big Bang Theory when I auditioned for The Big Bang Theory. I knew that I had been mentioned on a show called The Big Bang Theory because someone vaguely had told me that, and I assumed that it was a game show, like I was the answer to something. It wasn't. It was a very popular sitcom, which I had never seen, and then I was a regular on. Girling Up, How to Be Strong, Smart, and Spectacular. What's that, you ask? It's a book I just wrote. Girling Up is a book that I wrote from a science perspective for girls who are 10 to 18. And what some people may not know about me is that I don't just play a scientist on TV, I am one in real life. I have a PhD in neuroscience, and I wrote this book with my science background and my background as a girl who didn't always fit in, and really wanted to write a book to teach girls how to be strong, smart, and spectacular, whether you fit in or not.
Comedian Dimitri Martin stopped by recently to tell us about his new film, Dean, and he gave us the whole picture. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Dimitri Martin. I want to talk to you about independent filmmaking. I made my first movie recently, so if you're thinking of making a movie, I can tell you a couple things about it. The first thing is, I made a comedy, so it's designed to make people laugh. You know, it's got some dramatic elements to it, but it's mostly, I'd say, a comedy. It was difficult. It was definitely hard to make the movie. In terms of what I got out of it, I'd say It was more of a passion project than a moneymaker for me. Pretty low budget. And I think it's because there were a lot of hurdles. That's a hurdle. So there were a lot of hurdles to get over in production, especially logistics. That was what the hardest part was. I lost sleep over things like not having a location for the next day when we were shooting. One day, then the next day, they're like, oh, the location fell through. Where are we gonna park the trucks for lunch? Things like that. It was just really difficult. I didn't even know if I'd finish the movie. But eventually, things came together, and I did. And it's a film called Dean. That's the title. It comes out on June 2nd of this year. So I hope you check it out. That's a 6. Thanks.
That's our show. Thanks to all my guests. Don't forget to grab the RuPaul's Drag Race issue of Entertainment Weekly on newsstands now and at EW.com. And now I'll leave you with some vocal exercises with two of Hollywood's youngest stars. Bye.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Peter Piper picked a peck of
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Peter Piper picked a peck of
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Peter Piper picked a
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers and picked his nose. Whoops.
Peter Piper picked a nose.
Peter Piper picked a peck of